with ideas and plans you don't know how to make real? Have you found that the GPS you've been using is broken and is leading you into roadblocks and dead ends? Well, welcome to the entrepreneur's journey. Now it's time for you to get back on the highway of clarity, purpose, and abundance. The 11 entrepreneurs featured in this 3-part documentary were determined to make a way out of every unimaginable circumstance. They have transformed pit stops and potholes into life-changing possibilities. Through their stories and grit, I want you to learn from them and be inspired to take action and get into the driver's seat of your own vision, influence, and possibility. Meet the driven. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Journey. This is Epic Aprille here, and I'm super thrilled tonight for this special installment of CEO Fuel, and we are presenting our 3-part documentary, Driven, the Unpaved Road to Success, and I am really excited to be premiering this tonight. So for all of you all that are tuning in right now, make sure that you let us know where you're viewing from, and you also hit the share button. Listen, CEO Fuel is all about connecting leaders with other leaders and really showing you the authenticity and the actual journey of what entrepreneurship looks like. Sometimes we talk about stories, sometimes we talk about strategy, sometimes we talk about collaboration, because all of those elements are part of the pie of entrepreneurship, right? It's not just about purpose and passion, but it's also about, where did you come from? What have you overcome? Why do you still stay the path, even though things may be challenging? And so Driven is a documentary and broken up into 3 parts. So if you're tuning in right now, then this is the first night. This is part 1. Then tomorrow will be part 2, and the day after we will end with part 3. And we're really excited to present to you the 11 entrepreneurs who are part of the Driven movement. And so for some of you all who have been following me for a little bit, then you already know that, we launched and I produced and published my book, Driven Success, a couple months ago. And we have kind of been moving along with this driven movement of, if you have drive, you can make things happen for yourself, right? So no matter what odds are stacked against you, what you do, don't have, where you come from or don't, what support you have or not, the drive really can push you. And by connecting with individuals and really understanding, what entrepreneurship looks like on the back end, you can be a success too. And success defined by you. So again, I'm not looking at the comments, but I know y'all are coming because my phone is lighting up right here. So welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you again. I need you all to hit the share button. We want this thing to totally blow up the internet. Why? Because this is information that people need to know. These women who have opened themselves up are sharing triumphantly, some very intimate things on what has driven them to want to help and serve others, what's driven them to want to put themselves, in the public eye, what's driven them to want to be a success and to climb stairs that oftentimes you get knocked down several times before you really truly gain momentum. And so I'm really excited to present to you these 11 women. So this is how this is going to work. Make sure that you're utilizing the hashtag #DrivenFilm. So wherever you're posting on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever, make sure you're using the hashtag #DrivenFilm. And if you're on Twitter, make sure you're following me at Epic Aprille. That's EPICAPRILLE. Okay? Make sure you're following me. So so I want to introduce to you our 11 cast members first, and you're going to see and hear from each and every one of them every single night. Okay, so every night you're going to hear a part of their journey. So tonight in part 1 is about the beginning. Part 2, which is tomorrow, is going to be about the middle of the journey, and then part 3 on Wednesday is going to be about where they are now, part of the journey, right? And so I just want to say, welcome. First of all, welcome to every single one of you. And again, thank you for sharing. And I see people from New York, from California, from Oklahoma City, from Dallas. So thank you so much for you guys for tuning in. So Necie Black is one of our cast members. So make sure if you're connected to Necie, tag her. Another cast member is Audra Upchurch. Audra actually will be on tonight live. So this is the first time any of them have seen the film either. So I'm really excited about it. So you guys are getting real life, live commentary. Like, this is not made up. This is totally unscripted. I'm unscripted. Then we have Ranelli Williams. Ranelli also is going to be on live tonight. She's going to be in the box, and we're going to be talking to her as well about her feedback. And we have Kecia Hayslett. So Kecia, shout out to the folks in Minnesota. So if you're from Minnesota or you know someone from Minnesota, tag them. Then we have Precious Bivings. So shout out to Coach P, right? And she is in the film as well. We have Ronda A White, who also will be in the film. And Rhonda is here live as well. So you all will see her. And over the next couple of days, you'll hear from the majority of the cast members. And we're really excited about that because, again, this is their first time seeing this. We actually filmed this in April and we are now launching, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy about it. And then we have Rhonda Boyle. So shout out to Rhonda Boyle. If you're connected to Rhonda, tag her, show her some LOVE. Okay. And then Lashana Williams, shout out to Lashana, parallelpreneur, rocking the house, doing her thing. So make sure you tag her if you're connected to her. Who else? We have Donna Izzard. I think Donna is in Cabo with her husband right now. So shout out to Donna on the beaches of Cabo. So someone tag her and let her know that we're thinking about her even during her anniversary. And Traci Henderson Smith. Traci is rocking it out. I met Traci a year ago, new entrepreneurs, been totally blazing trails and doing her thing. And then we have Amber noble-garland, and she actually was just recently in another project, and she is truly living an ambitious life right now. And so I'm really excited to present to you all of our cast members. And I am also going to, during our first break, I'm going to bring to you our producer, Sinita Wells. And for those of you who have been following me, you know it's SinitaWells.com. I'm going to bring to you Sinita Wells, who is my BFF. And let me just say in front of the whole world. and she also is the producer of Driven, and she really has taken this project on for me, and I really appreciate her work and also the work of our director, Snoop Robinson, and our director of photography, Chris Morgan, and our production assistant, Kara Hustle Girl Aljo, part of the Coach Speak and Serve community. And so without further ado, we want to show you, we're going to go into Driven. And so just know this is part one, and we are just literally getting started. Share, share, share. Rob, I'm ready when you are.
A moment in my childhood would be at 18 months. I was taken from my mom. She was only 15, 16 years old, and my leg got broken as an 18-month-old baby. And it was due to her being in a domestic violence altercation with an abusive boyfriend. And they assumed that it was abuse on her part or neglect. So I was taken from her from 18 months to about 5 years old, back and forth. And that shifted the stability in my foundation of growing up simply because I didn't have a father or a mother that created a stable environment. Being molested at 5 years old made me feel insecure. As a woman, it made me feel unsafe. It made me feel like I was a target. And so, in feeling like a target, the downside to that is I didn't trust men. So if somebody looked at me and said, "Oh, you're pretty," that felt nasty and dirty. Or if a man offered me a piece of candy or offered me $1, my second thought was always, what do you want from me? What am I supposed to give you? And so as a woman, it felt disparaging. It felt horrible.
When did I find my drive? I think I would honestly say it was when I was 15, and I found myself homeless. And I was a very bright student, loved school, but I had no home. And because of that, I wound up dropping out of high school so I could eat and find ways to take care of myself. My mother suffered with mental illness, and through her paranoia, would sleep on the street and really didn't trust anyone. dropping out of school, being homeless, and just not having family support, it made me feel totally unloved. I felt abandoned, I felt rejected, and I definitely didn't feel worthy. You know, when you have relatives in the same city as you're in, and no one says, I'm gonna take this girl in, it definitely does negative things to how you see yourself.
I was molested as a child, and I think that, well, I know that in many ways it shut me down. A couple of things happened. I felt like the people who were around me and responsible for me didn't see me. And I felt like they weren't there. They didn't take care of me in the way that I should have been. They didn't ask the right questions. They didn't probe. They didn't question my behaviors. And so I turned into myself. I entered into this place of just the real me being put on hold, and just being made to feel invisible. So then what happened is, because I didn't feel protected, I became the protector. And I took care of my siblings and my cousins and everyone around me. And they tell stories today that I was mean as a kid and how I fought all of their battles. But what nobody really understood was, more and more I was becoming perfect at defending everyone else and taking care of everyone else and fighting for everyone else. And while that was happening, I was shrinking more and more and more and more. And so I overcompensated by being an overachiever and a perfectionist and having to do everything just right. But when you have things like molestation and abuse, it makes it really hard for you to be this free-spirited person who just wants to live life on their terms. You're constantly judging and analyzing and looking over your shoulder. It just creates a completely different person. So I lived the alternate life. I lived a life out of suspicion and fear and just needing to be good enough for everybody else.
Wow. So I would love to hear your commentary in the comments. I highly salute these women for being transparent and showing you a little bit of their beginning, because it's not, and we're not done. We're just getting started. And so, you know, everyone has a different story, a different journey. And I want to bring on our producer, Sinita Wells, just so we can talk about how challenging, you know, drawing this out is, and pulling all of this together so that we can support these women and we can do this in a way that is respectful to them and also impactful for others. Sinita, are you there?
I am here. Hello, everyone. Hey, hey, hey. Wow. So this is everyone's first time seeing this. I have watched it a million times, so thank you so much. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you, Aprille, for this opportunity for myself, for being the producer. And so, yeah, just, you know, it's a different, I have watched this a million times. So now that I know that I'm watching it with the audience, I'm like,
So Sinita, you know, as we've been working through this, and you know, we filmed this during a live event at Epic, and you know, when I first contacted you and Snoop, and we had our production meeting, you know, we talked about what do we want this, what is the purpose of this, and you know, what is this whole driven success thing that's bubbling up inside of me. And so for you, what did you most feel about the cast members as they were, you know, because they were opening up to you? I hadn't heard any of this until I actually watched the footage, you know, as when we were in the editing process. So can you just share a little bit of, you know, what you were thinking and what that kind of felt like as you were really seeing them, you know, kind of unfold their truth, if you will?
Yes, sure, absolutely. So shout out to Christopher, to Snoop, to Kecia for being part of the crew, And as we were interviewing each of the 11 women, the process was, we had some pre-questions that we asked them and some things that we knew about their background. And so my goal was really to pull out the true emotion behind their story, really to get the story. And so some of the ladies, they were not expecting to cry, but I knew that was my mission. And the reason was because I wanted them to share their truth. And I knew that through their story and through their true, authentic emotion, other people could relate. Other people would feel the story. I didn't want just everybody to be happy-go-lucky and, this is my life. No, I wanted the true story. So as we were behind the scenes recording their interviews and myself hearing their stories, there were things that I could relate to. And I had the opportunity as part of the crew and behind the scenes to sit and talk to each and every one of the ladies. And so just hearing their stories, you all are in for some amazing stories.
Yeah. And Sinita, you're breaking up just a little bit. We got everything you said, but you're freezing up just a little bit. So
okay.
So I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think one of the things and one of the misconceptions a lot of times is people think that entrepreneurship is all glitz and glamour. And I think also, not that it's not, because there's definitely an element where that's real, because it is, right? I just got back from Italy. Most of you guys know. But also there's this element of people think that just because they have had challenges or things come up during their journey, that they should quit or that they should bow out. And because things are always shifting and changing all the time. And it's hard to stay the course. And what we really wanted to show was the reality. The reality is you could be anyone from anywhere with any past, any dream, and you can pursue your passion and you can pursue it with integrity and excellence. And so Sinita, I just really want to thank you for, taking this on. And I mean, really, like, you saved my day today. I'm jet lagged. My body is like at 4 a.m. right now. So really, this was really important to us to get this out. So you guys make sure that you're sharing and make sure that if you hear something that really resonates with you, make sure that you tweet and you connect with the cast member, because they want to hear from you. And these women have platforms and they're owning their truth right now. And this is just the beginning. And so I want to, Sinita, you want to say anything else before we go that you want people to kind of take away as they're watching?
What I really want you all to do is pull out paper and pen. I want you all to take notes. I want you all to really hear their stories. I want whatever that ding ding aha moment is for you that you connect to over the 3 days, because this is going to be amazing. From their beginnings of, the pain through their triumph. You all take notes. I strongly encourage you all to, because if someone is going to say something that is going to just ding and it's going to hit you, and understand that you can be on this exact same journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can. Thank you, SinitaWells.com.
Yes, bestie.
So you guys make sure you guys are following Sinita Wells everywhere, and just Google her, Sinita. And I just want to say also that, throughout this journey of entrepreneurship, I think one of the things that we want you to know, because we have the next cast members coming up that you're about to watch. You're going to watch Rhonda Boyle coming up, Necie Black, Donna Izzard, Rhonda A. White coming up. And these women have some really harrowing stories, and they're leaders. These women are leaders. Some of these women have worked on my team. Some of these women have been ambassadors to clients and powerhouses in corporate America. And what we're saying is you can do this and you can have this and you can have this platform, right? And so we want you to know that. So make sure you're sharing, you're commenting below, letting us know. Obviously I'm live, so I can't comment back right now, but trust me, I'm coming for you as soon as this is over, because we want to see, how this is landing with you. And so tag a friend, share the broadcast. And remember, this is just night 1. We have 3 nights of this in different elements. And so I want to go into the next 4 cast members if we can. Rob, whenever you're ready, we can go and start off with Rhonda.
Was it always as pretty as it sounds growing up with a mom and a dad that lived at home? Absolutely not. I mean, we were like a lot of families that had struggles and issues that we had to deal with, you know, with our parents. I mean, I don't think, you know, my parents stayed together for 50 years, almost exactly, before my dad passed away. And there were times and years where they didn't get along, and we felt the strain of that in our own family. There were times when my siblings and I didn't get along very well. I remember hair pulling and throwing things. And so no, it wasn't perfect. You know, I think that I had a very typical middle class upbringing. And it was before, you know, it was during an era where parents stayed together. And that was one advantage I do believe that I had, is that my parents stayed together no matter what, through thick and thin. And I think today we don't have that in a lot. You know, if you look at the divorce rate, you know, at 51 or 52%. So I do think that I had an advantage in that way.
How did shame shape that little girl? You know, it's really hard to say now, because during the time that she was going through what she was going through, all she knew to do was to suck it up and keep pushing, to keep moving forward, not let people see her cry, and just to be as strong as she could. This little girl, you gotta be strong, you know? And just looking back, I think that having that shame for so long put her in a shell, and it taught her some things. That shame taught her some things. It taught her to better protect her heart and to better protect her space. Even though you want to trust, sometimes you got to take your mind with you when you take your heart. You know, so I think it did some good for her, but it would have been better had she not had to experience that at such a young age. If I could say one thing to that little girl, Necie Black, I tell her that it is not her fault. She is not what happened to her. She is whoever she decides to be.
I'm next to the oldest, so 3 younger than me. My sister, my oldest sister, we were very, very close. And out of the 5 girls my mother had, I was the different one. I was the one, I didn't do things that other kids did. I didn't like what other kids liked. I was different. So we've never had a really close relationship, but my oldest sister and I, we were very close. And growing up, that's how we were. But then as we were older, she passed away. I was a rock for everyone. I was a rock for my older sister. I was a rock for my family. I was a rock for everyone that I worked with at job. I was a rock for everybody in ministry. I was the rock until that happened. I felt that I could no longer be the rock because I was hurting and I was in pain. But I masked it to the point that no one knew what I was going through. No one knew that I was contemplating suicide. No one knew that. No one knew that. Because I just wanted to get rid of the pain. And I felt that that would be the only way that I could get rid of the pain. I actually was in church. And I was a visiting pastor. And he talked about depression. And it was so interesting that I was in the church and no one said, maybe she needs some grief counseling, maybe she needs something. But no one said anything to me. So I was in church, the visiting pastor came, and he talked about depression. And he talked about how depression was a demon. And he talked about how depression, because it was a demon, that it was trying to take people out. And it was that day that I decided, oh, you trying to take me out. It's not gonna happen. And so it was that day that I sought counseling to get over my sister's passing.
So as a little kid, my whole childhood, I felt like I was never enough. My mom and dad separated, divorced or whatever when I was at a real young age. At the age of 5, I was molested by a grown man who offered me a banana as a prize for him molesting me. And my mother, being the person that she was, while she provided the roof over her head and she provided clothes and food, she was not a huggy, lovey person. And she was not the person that you went to for things like that. She was such a strong Black woman, I didn't understand her. And I didn't think she really cared about us, her kids, personally, on a personal level. And so all the things that I aspired to do or wanted to do as a childhood, my mother did not support me in it at all. So I always felt like I was alone. But I felt like there was more in life. I just didn't know what it was or how to go about it. So to be honest, most of my childhood, I blocked out. I was 17 years old. I was raped with a gun to my head. I went to a party that I did not want to go to. But my mother, this guy that was interested in me, family had a lot of money, and that's all she saw. So actually, she bought me a brand new dress, she bought me a brand new sweater, brand new shoes, brand new pantyhose. She took and got my hair done to go to this party with this guy. And when I went to this party, his uncle approached me to talk to me. Like, I heard you Miss Goody Good Shoe, da-da-da-da-da. It was a setup. He held a gun to my head while his nephew raped me. And I remember coming home with my mascara ran, dress torn. And my mother asked me, did I have a good time? And I'm looking at her like, do it look like I had a good time? And my mother never dealt with it. She hid it. No one was supposed to know. And so I found out months later I was pregnant. My teachers took me out of our county to an abortion clinic to have an abortion. Well, because I didn't have my parents' permission, they gave me no drugs. So I can tell you to this day, the sound of them sucking that baby out of my body. I can tell you, I can still feel the pain, every emotion tied to that, I can feel it. And so I oppressed it for years and years and years and years and years and years because I didn't know how to cope with it. And it wasn't until later in life, I think I was in my late 20s before I really decided that I needed to deal with that. I needed to deal with it for myself so that I can become a better person. And so for me, that was a time that, like I said, it crushed me, but at the same time, it was my fight. Because my fight was, okay, this happened to me when I was 5. This happened to me when I was 17. And I felt so unprotected that I felt like I needed to protect myself. So I came from this real shy, timid, intimidated by people to this beast was, you will never, ever hurt me again. And I had to become this tough, tough person.
So I know, listen, I have watched all of these women over the past several months, and I know how harrowing, how brave, how afraid, how stressful, how emotional it is to be vulnerable and to be honest about your absolute truth in your journey. And I just commend them. And I want you all, who are all of the viewers right now, I want you to just hold them up in the most authentic space and the barrier of love and respect, because as you're climbing, people have no idea the things that you're overcoming, the things that you have overcome, the things that you're dealing with in your life. And while you're standing on stages and you're empowering people, meanwhile, you may be dealing with current trauma or past trauma that you're now overcoming as an adult. But the desire in you is so strong to help others win, to help others succeed, so strong, so much so that you'd be willing to subject yourself to judgment of other people just for telling your truth, just for saying, and this is whether you're a believer or not, I made it through this, God got me through this, whatever the story is for you, but just saying it out of your mouth where more than one person can hear it, that could be a very scary thing. And some of you all, and I want to speak to the people who think, we shouldn't tell our intimate stories. We shouldn't do that, and we're moving into a business space. And I want you to consider this. Consider how many times you've heard something, And because a person made a choice to be obedient and to really connect with you in your time of need, that it helped you over some hump. And it was like an angel was sent your way, or, you know, whatever it was positively sent your way so that you can get that next push you needed to not quit, to not give up. So you can get that next burst of energy that you needed to get yourself up and go to work in the morning, to feed your kids. So you can get that next, you know, whatever it is, so you can do your next thing, right? Without just laying out. Because sometimes a lot of things that have occurred in our lives can be very traumatic, right? And so I just want to make sure that as you're moving about your entrepreneurial journey, that we just make sure that we're being kind to one another, we're respecting one another, and we're just remembering that we all have had a journey here. And the journey is highly personal. And the fact that these women will be obedient, I don't really call it bravery. See, because a lot of times we're still afraid, but we still do it anyway. We still tell it anyway. We still show up anyway. So I don't necessarily want to say it's bravery, but I will say it's obedience, that you feel so compelled to tell the truth because you remember what it was like to be in a place where there was just darkness. And you know that by sharing your darkness, if you could just share and it would impact one person, that their life could be changed, you've just impacted more than one person. Potentially hundreds of people, potentially thousands of people, because of the ripple effect of engagement in our interaction. And so I want to bring on 3 of our guests tonight, as I stated. And so, Rob, can we get Rhonda and Sinita back on the screen? So first of all, Rhonda, this is your first time seeing the film. And what are your first, just your first thoughts of being a part of Driven, being a part of, Coach Speak and Serve, and seeing this piece of art put out this way? What are your first thoughts?
So my first thought was, it is my first time seeing it. And just to be transparent, earlier today, I was a little nervous. I was like, wow, this is real. This is happening, and I had a moment. But, thank God for girlfriends that you can call. They can talk you off the ledge and it's okay. But now that I'm seeing this, and I'm like, wow, so many women, we think that we're alone in our journey. We think we are even alone in our pain, and we're not. And there's so many women that need to hear the story, that needs to know that they're not alone, and that someone understands exactly what they have gone through or are going through. So I'm glad I'm part of Driven.
Oh, that's so great. So great. So Sinita, Rhonda, scoot over a little bit to your, there you go. So Sinita, what are your thoughts in regards to this last segment? It was very emotional, and again, you guys, for all of you all viewing, this is part 1. So tonight is all part 1. And tomorrow you'll see all of 11 cast members, they're part 2. And then Wednesday night, you'll see all of their part 3, and you'll get to see where they are now. But we would be remiss, right, Sinita, if we didn't say, this is where we came from. We don't want to show you the highlights without showing you the low lights.
Absolutely. Like I said, I have watched these women's stories over and over. And now that it is alive, now that I know that what they are sharing will impact those that are watching, that's why we encourage you all to share, because if it may not relate to you, it relates to someone you know. It relates to someone who is on this journey or trying to be on this journey. So watching these ladies they just crack wide open. They just cracked wide open as they share their stories with us. And I am so appreciative of the journeys that they have all gone through, because like Rhonda said, we are more alike than we are different. There are more of us that can relate to these stories than not.
Absolutely. And I just want to bring up too, this, because this can be, it happens to be that all these are women, but these can be very much men as well. I mean, it's about the entrepreneur's journey, which is a lot of times there is some strife and struggle and, some barriers that we have to overcome. Some of it is very intimate and some of it, maybe not so much, but regardless, there's still, challenges that we all have. So Rhonda, I want to ask you, as you were, filming this, and Sinita was interviewing you, and you were in, at the Marriott in Dallas, what did you think? Because I know, of course, I said, we doing a documentary, y'all, and so what did you think, about this being a part of your professional piece of work?
I think, well, first of all, I think it was an on-time project. Let me just say that. It's so on time. It's time for us to heal. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was myself, my mission is to work with women. And my mission is to have women transform, not motivate. There's a difference between motivating someone and walking them through a process of them being transformed. So I think with this will allow so many women to begin that first process of understanding, yes, let me go get help. It's okay to ask for help. And so in the middle of this, when we was doing this, the conference was going on, there was many different things that was going on. I had some other things going on during the conference as well. And I just remember when I was done, standing up and thinking, okay, this is real. Oh, but I got other things to do. But then I came back and I was like, wait a minute. So what part of this are y'all sharing? And Sinita and them started busting out laughing, because I was like, because for a moment I was thinking, I don't want it to be so raw or so harsh that it does not connect. So I was really concerned with how it was going to connect with other women, because my whole mission in life is to be able to connect with them, to understand that it's okay. It's okay. Your past is just what it is. It's just your past. It really truly doesn't have a full, it doesn't have any bearing on your future.
Right, absolutely.
And the whole purpose of this was to get them to understand that regardless of what happened to you, you're nobody's victim. Nobody's victim. Don't give anybody any control. And so then when I walked away from Sinita, and I was in the room and I was getting ready to do the next thing, and I was like, wow, this is going to be good, because women needs to understand that because we do so much and we're natural neutrals, we give out too much control sometimes. And it's time for us to take back our own power. And so that was my full thing about this, is that this is a great opportunity to teach women how to take back their power.
Very good. Thank you so much, Rhonda. You guys make sure you're following Rhonda online, and she will be, once she gets off of here, we're about to pop on because we got to keep it moving. She will be in the comment section, commenting and responding to you guys' comments. Make sure you tag her, show her some love. Let's bring in our next cast member who is on tonight, which is Ranelli Williams. So Ranelli, let's bring her on. Hey, Ranelli.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So this is your first time seeing any of it. What are your thoughts?
Oh my goodness. It was emotional for me. My part didn't show yet, but I don't think some of the ladies shared in their stories that I shared, but I can relate with so much of it, so I was sitting here in the background in tears, but it's just amazing that no matter where we come from, no matter what our past is, that our past does not have to define us.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, Ranelli, you have been a private client of mine, a part of my mastermind, and as a result, this is part of the opportunity to highlight you as a professional, as a woman. And can you share with people how, now that you're seeing this, it's different when you're in the background and you read something on paper. But now that you're seeing this, how do you believe this is going to be relevant for the people that you're wanting to connect with in regards to building legacy and empowering your audience?
It is so relevant because, and I was watching a lot of the comments, that were coming in, and so many people can relate, and it's so great to know that, even though we went through these things in our lives, even though we had these humble beginnings, that we can press forward. We can, pursue whatever it is, we can be, do, and have it all, because we're children of God, and we just have to step forward and, and push.
Yes, absolutely. Sinita, so, and watch it. And I know, listen, Sinita, do not say again, I have seen this 1,000 times. Okay. We know. Okay. Sinita's like, I have seen this 1,000 times.
I'm saying it because now it's in a different emotion than, you know, just editing and cutting it up. So it's a different emotion now.
So Sinita, what do you think about, you know, as we've been, you know, pressing forward and moving into this space of, you know, being more expansive with entrepreneurship and being more authentic, how do you believe the authenticpreneur, if you will, please don't y'all start using that. Okay, I'm just saying it for right now. I don't want to see hashtag authenticpreneur out there because somebody gonna be like, oh my God,
I'm an authenticpreneur.
Don't do that. But how do you think that the authenticity and the transparency is relevant to people as they're kind of building their businesses?
I think it's vitally important because that's how people connect. We connect to people. I always tell people when I, you know, had a nonprofit or people who have causes, people don't connect to your cause. You know, there's a million causes for different things, you know, save the animals, save the women, save the children. People connect to people. And I think that if you open yourself up and allow people inside, you know, behind the curtain, behind the rope, sometimes, that don't mean you got to spill all your beans, you know, but allow them to really connect with you. You got to find something that's going to pull their heartstring because they have been through it. They have been there. So I think that, you know, just being open to people, you know, people that may not even look like you, people that may not even sound like you, but they can still connect and relate to you. So I think authenticity is major in pushing your brand and pushing you as a person.
Absolutely. Ranelli, in closing, what do you think that your children are going to say when they see this, when they're old enough to understand?
You know, I'm all about legacy. You know, and so I'm proud to pass this on to my children. I'm proud for them to see that, you know, mommy is doing something, you know, for us, because this is for them. This is all for them. You know, I talk about how my parents, well, I don't want to spill what I'm going to talk about.
Ranelli.
Yeah, I know, right? You know, but it's all about, you know, just being there and providing for them and leaving a legacy for them. So I'm excited for them to see it.
Thank you so much. And you guys make sure you're following Ranelli. She'll be in the comments, commenting, liking y'all's comments, loving on you guys too. Let's bring on Audra Upchurch, and then we're going to go into the last four. Okay, so you'll get a chance to see the last four cast members in part one tonight. Audra.
Hey.
Hey, Audra, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. So this is your first time. So what's your first reaction?
Wow. First of all,
are you in the green room?
I was the woman that Sinita said she wasn't going to cry. And just watching the first few moments, I was already in tears tonight. So this has truly been just an amazing ride. And I'm just only imagining what part 2 and 3 are going to contain, because I forgot everything I said until I'm watching it. So this has been amazing.
Oh, so great. And what I love about Audra, you guys, is that Audra just started her entrepreneurial journey, really. I mean, she's already a successful woman, has a great career, has a business with her husband, but she just started this last year. I mean, literally, I met her at my conference, and she has been literally rocking and rolling, brand building, Freedom to Thrive ever since. And so, Audra, what would you say, which of the cast members that you've seen so far have you connected with the most now that you're seeing these stories? Because we didn't share with you all each other's stories or what each other said.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rhonda had me in tears. Like, Rhonda just got me, because I know Rhonda professionally. So it just really helps to get this insight on the woman that she is and how she became this amazing, phenomenal woman that you see now. There's something else behind it. And I think it's so important for all of us to walk in our authenticity and who we truly are and embrace all of it, the good, bad, and the ugly. So I just wanted to jump in my car and drive straight to Oklahoma and just hug Rhonda's neck.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Sinita. Thank you so much, Audra. Thank you, Ranelli and Rhonda. You guys catch all of these ladies inside the comments and love on them and show them some, your appreciation and you honoring that they're being truthful tonight. So I want to go into the last 4 cast members, and we're going to see Amber, Kecia, Lashana, and Ranelli, and then I'll be.
You know what? My father passed away in 2007. I will forever be a daddy's girl. I'm a mama's baby too, but my dad and I had just a really, special relationship. I'm like him in so many ways. And I don't really think that I understood to what extent I was like my father until I really became a full-grown adult. I have so many, fond memories with my dad, but, when I would visit with my dad would make sure that we did quality things together. So he really tried to show me how I think, and I don't know if he realized it at the time, or if I probably didn't realize it, but he would show me how a man was supposed to treat me. He would take me shopping sometimes and, pick out things for me. My dad used to make me read Black Enterprise magazine to him as a kid and read articles. He would just sit me down and just give me real talk and real conversation. My dad was a straight shooter. He didn't pull any punches. And he taught me a lot of things at a young age that I don't know that most fathers and daughters, have at that sort of young stage in a child's life. But those were the fond memories of my dad, just him always being like super authentic. And something he used to say to me every time I left him, or every time we ended a conversation, he said, "Baby girl, I love you with a passion." And he would say, "Ciao." And it's like I could still hear my dad in my head, and I say that to my daughter. I say, "Lee, I love you with a passion." And I think that's part of my connection still to my father.
I remember a time when I wanted so bad to move out of the projects. I lived in Chicago, and I wanted so bad to move out of my environment because my environment was not conducive to the place where I knew in my gut that I wanted to go. So how do I get out of this place? How do I move from here? Because I'm standing still. How do I move over there? I don't know. I don't know. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you how. Give you a quick story. There was this dance contest, and the prize was $200. Now I could dance, sister girl, I could dance. And I went to that party, Lord forgive me, but I needed to get out of that environment to a different environment. And I went, and you remember the song called Doing the Butt? Doing the butt, well, I did it, and I won my $200. I bought me a car that cost $175. I packed up and got me and my baby, got in that car, and we drove across the state line to Minnesota. Because if I stayed in that place, I wouldn't be here. The drugs and the alcohol and the teen pregnancy and the homelessness. If I'd have stayed, I wouldn't have made it.
Pregnant, on welfare, and wouldn't be a college graduate. That's what I heard when I was growing up. And to beat all the odds, that's part of my superpower. Part of my uniqueness comes from the fact that I heard that, but in spite of that, I became who I am today. And so I'm driven by people telling me that I can't do something and just turning it around and fueling my fire and doing exactly the opposite of what they say. Today, Lashana would say, don't believe that. You will be more than enough. You will be awesome. You're going to be a queen. You're going to be a legacy builder. You're going to be a game changer. You are going to impact the lives of many people. You don't even know what your greatness is. And you have yet to walk and step into who God has intended you to be. When you're battling with self-esteem, self-esteem issues and insecurities, they'll tell you, oh, you're pretty, you're great. But until you believe that yourself, then you're going to stay in that passenger seat. So the person that needed to know was me.
I'm from Montserrat, which is a tiny Caribbean island in the Eastern Caribbean. 39.5 square miles. Yep. And so there are no colleges and universities, right? So if you wanted to, further your academic career, then you were gonna leave Ireland, you were gonna go somewhere. And so my mom decided that, it was time for us to go. I completed high school and I needed a college education because that's just what she believed. I spent the first 17 years of my life growing up on the island. I grew up with my mom, who is, she was a single parent. And she came from, a poor background. And she wanted to make sure that my brother and I had what she didn't have. And so she just was a hard worker. She was a hard worker. I saw that in her. I recognized that she would just do whatever it took to make sure that we had a better life. My mom was a nurse, she is a nurse, and she would work whatever shift was required. I had very supportive grandparents, and so, if she was on the night shift for a 3-month period, I would spend those 3 months with my grandparent because my mother was, providing for us. Growing up, she gave us everything we needed, which is, I appreciate it, but not always the best thing because I made so many mistakes because of that, because everything was catered for and handed to me. And so when I started college, now her funds had to go towards paying for college because she's paying cash now, right? And so when I walked into college, first week of school, all of these banks, credit card companies, right, were on campus. And it was appealing. And so I went and I got the credit cards, right? And didn't manage it very well at all because whatever I wanted, I got. And so now whatever I wanted, I would use the cards to get.
We're back. Thank you so much for watching the last 4 cast members. Again, tonight is part 4. And, I want to say the comments are blowing up. I can't even keep up with the comments. It's been over 40 shares or something, and like over 500 comments. I'm done. Like, I'm going to have to check you guys after this. But I just want to say, like, the entrepreneur's journey is so amazing. And I'm so grateful to all of our cast members. You got a chance to hear from Audra Upchurch, Rhonda White, and Ranelli Williams tonight. And you can follow those women on their individual platforms. Rhonda A. White, you can follow Ranelli. She's putting on the Lift Conference, which happens in October. I happen to be one of the keynotes. You can follow Audra Upchurch. She also has an event happening October. So connect with these ladies in the thread. They will drop their links, and also the email that we'll be sending out will also have links to where you can connect with them personally and professionally. And I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. But before I go, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was because of my own story and my own journey. And I'm going to try to do this without crying. Like while we were watching, I was like, oh God, I need a tissue because y'all know I'm a crybaby, but as hard as I am. But I just want to say that entrepreneurship is real and it creates freedom. It creates growth. It nourishes, and it sounds so cliche, but it's real. Like, I am fully satisfied doing what I do for a living because I get to help people in the way that I'm best suited, right? Which is as a business coach, and as a producer, and being able to pull together people so that you can see and hear the real truth. We don't have to sugarcoat anything. And just keep in mind, you guys, this is part 1. So if you thought tonight was something, wait till tomorrow when you hear from all these ladies again in part 2. Sinita will be back, and you'll hear from some other cast members that you haven't seen live tonight. And listen, this is really about us pressing forward, and about us not allowing for excuses as to why, you know, we can't be a success because you don't have education, or your husband or your wife doesn't support you, or, you know, your friends think you're dumb for, you know, wanting to quit your good job and follow your passion. You know what I'm saying? I think that these stories need to be told. And like for my own self, I have always believed that, listen, I've had tons of odds stacked against me. I have a whole list, a whole roll of things as to why I should not be a success. We can start with, you know, me being adopted and you know, product of a teenage mom. We can talk about, you know, me growing up in an alcoholic environment. We can talk about the abuse that I saw growing up. We can talk about the fact that I dropped out of high school. We can talk about the fact that I was a teenage mom on purpose because I was lonely and was looking for love. We can talk about all kinds of things as to what society would say success is supposed to look like. And I just want this whole Driven movement to defy all of it, no matter what your story is, no matter what it is you want to do with your life, how you want to serve and help people. Driven in this entire movement is about the fact that no matter what, if you press the gas, that doesn't mean that you're not going to hit a pothole. That doesn't mean that detours are not going to pop up. It doesn't mean that you won't get discouraged and there's going to be cloudy days along your journey. It doesn't mean none of those things are going to happen. But what it does mean is that the detours are not, they're only going to delay you. They're only going to delay you. They're not going to ruin you. They're not going to, you know, what is it called when you get into a car accident? They're not going to total you out. You know, you're not going to the junkyard. And I think if you can just understand that, wow, yes, there may have been some challenges, and we'll get some more business stuff tomorrow, but we really wanted you to see who are these individuals that you're following? Who are these individuals that you can connect to? Who are these individuals that maybe your wife or your husband or your daughter, your niece, your best friend can connect to, who understand where they are in their own journey? And that's what this is about. So for me, Drive is about you pressing through and not quitting, because you can have all of everything and still not be successful on your terms, not as defined by me. And so my charge to you tonight is for you to drop in the comments right now, what does success look like to you? And and let's just be clear, success today may not look like what success will look like to you in 6 months. So today, what will be a win for you? What does success look like for you in the moment where you are now, in the journey, the part of the road that you're in right now? What does that look like? And I want you to type that in the comments, and I want you to embrace that. Write that down somewhere. Send yourself a note or email and remind yourself, you know, while you're being hard on yourself, that right now success is just the fact that you may finish your book, that you may start a blog, that you may start a new business, invest in a new business, that you may support your spouse who is in business. That's what success could look like. So you define what success is for you and hold on to that, and know that as you evolve and as you grow and you begin to accomplish those things, that success will begin to take a different shape. And then something else will look like success to you. And so I want you to be highly encouraged. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want you to make sure that you are also following our producer, Robert Hicks, at Hicks Video on Facebook. He has put on, you know, he produces CEO Fuel and has really put in a lot of effort into making sure that we present to you something that's amazing for live. And I know you guys have been asking, again, it's Hicks Video, Hix Video. I know you all have been asking, can you buy the DVD? There is no physical DVD, but you will be able to stream it. And those donations will go to a nonprofit that we are formulating to serve teenage entrepreneurs so that we can help them as well. And so for right now, my only thing that I want you to do is know what success means to you and tune in tomorrow at drivenfilm.net. My name is Aprille Hunt, the Master Coach and President of Coach Speak and Serve, the Administrator of the Community Coach Speak and Write for Profits, and the Executive Producer of Driven, our 3-part documentary. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.